A YouTube guy just showed up to NASCAR with a 2-year contract, and the sport has no idea what to do with him. 8 million subscribers. One legendary race team. And a race this Saturday that could change NASCAR forever. Stick around. Nashville Superspeedway. May 30th, 2026. The NASCAR O'Reilly Auto Parts Series is on the schedule tonight. And strapped into the number 33 Richard Childress Racing Chevrolet is a man whose day job is making car videos on the internet. His name is Garrett Mitchell. You know him as Cleetus McFarland, a YouTube creator with over 8 million subscribers who has just signed a 2-year contract with one of the most historic organizations in NASCAR history. Before you call this a publicity stunt, understand what is actually on the table. This is not a celebrity cameo. This is not a one-weekend experiment. This is a contracted, multi-race deal running all the way through 2027, with one of the most decorated teams in the sport. And the conversation around his presence in NASCAR has been growing louder every single week. By the end of this video, you will know exactly why NASCAR is both concerned and genuinely excited about what Cleetus McFarland is building, one race at a time. So who exactly is Garrett Mitchell? He grew up in Nebraska. He built his entire platform on YouTube by doing exactly what every car-obsessed person dreams about. Buying muscle cars, building them in his garage, taking them to tracks and drag strips, and pushing them until something breaks. His videos are raw, loud, and built on genuine passion, and that authenticity turned him into one of the most followed automotive creators on the internet. He now hosts his own racing events. The Freedom 500 and the Lero Race Series are his own creations, events where he drives a Crown Victoria against fans and fellow creators on real tracks. He won his own Freedom 500 in 2023. He owns the Freedom Factory Racetrack in Bradenton, Florida. This is not someone who stumbled into racing because a sponsorship deal landed on his desk. This is someone who has been obsessed with motorsports his entire adult life. The cameras have just been there to document every single step of it. That passion is not performed. It is documented across hundreds of hours of footage. And it is precisely that authentic connection to the sport that got NASCAR's attention in the first place. His road into professional stock car racing began in 2025 when he started competing in the ARCA Menard Series. The learning curve was steep and it played out completely in public. He finished 41st at Daytona in his very first ARCA start in 2025. Not 40th out of a large field. Just 41st. Early exit. The kind of result that sends most people home and looking for a different hobby. But Cleetus came back. He ran 4 ARCA races throughout the 2025 season and posted top 10 finishes at Talladega and Charlotte, where he recorded a career-best finish of 9th. Then 2026 arrived and the results began to tell a different story. He finished 11th at Daytona in ARCA. Then 4th at Rockingham in the ARCA East Series. Then came the result that made the entire motorsports world pay attention, a second-place finish at Talladega in the ARCA race. Second place at Talladega. The same track where Cup Series veterans get humbled week after week. His team owner at Rhett Jones Racing confirmed after that race that Cleetus had come further faster than almost anyone they had worked with at that stage of development. That is a credible voice saying something significant. And after that Talladega result, Cleetus looked into the camera and delivered what may be the most perfectly on-brand motorsports quote ever recorded. He said that was the greatest race he had ever been a part of. Then he paused and said, "That was the most fun I've ever had with my clothes on." That is the driver Richard Childress Racing chose to sign. In March 2026, the deal became official. Garrett Mitchell, known publicly as Cleetus McFarland, signed a 2-year, part-time deal with Richard Childress Racing to compete in the NASCAR O'Reilly Auto Parts Series. The arrangement includes 3 races per year in both 2026 and 2027, with tentative plans covering Daytona International Speedway and Talladega Superspeedway. He pilots the No. 33 Chevrolet with Tommy's Express Car Wash as the primary sponsor. To understand why this matters, you have to understand what Richard Childress Racing represents in this sport. This is the organization where Dale Earnhardt won 6 of his 7 championships. This is the same team where Kevin Harvick made his Cup Series debut in 2001 following Earnhardt's death. RCR is also the defending NOPS driver champions through Jesse Love. When Cleetus broke the news live on Kevin Harvick's Fox Sports show earlier in 2026, Harvick's on-air reaction was a single word. What? Just that. Complete disbelief. Because the idea of a YouTube content creator landing a multi-race deal with Richard Childress Racing is the kind of story that sounds fabricated until you see it in official writing. Richard Childress himself called it a dream come true opportunity, and described how excited the entire organization was to work with someone who brings that kind of passion and authentic connection to the sport. Tommy's Express CEO Alex Lemon described Cleetus as a genius marketer with an authentic connection to millions of his fans. This is a serious racing program. Real money. Real team. Real contract. His O'Reilly Series debut came at Rockingham Speedway on April 4th. The results were not clean, and that needs to be said plainly. He qualified 35th. The day got complicated immediately. On lap 4, he saved a spin that demonstrated genuine car control and gave the crowd a moment worth watching. But on lap 206, he could not save it. He spun officially off turn 4, bringing out the final caution of the race. He finished 32nd, last place among classified finishers. He was 6 laps down to the race leaders. The reaction from the NASCAR world split into 2 distinct camps almost immediately. One side said exactly what you would expect, that he does not belong, that he is occupying a seat that a proven driver has earned the right to compete for, and that celebrity starts reduce the credibility of professional racing. The other side pointed out that he finished the race, that he showed real improvement throughout the day, and that the new audience his presence brought to a Rockingham race weekend, tens of thousands of viewers who had never watched an O'Reilly Series event before, is exactly the kind of organic attention that NASCAR cannot manufacture on its own regardless of budget. Both arguments are grounded in fact. But the reality that Cleetus McFarland's Nope's debut at Rockingham generated a serious national debate is itself the proof of where this story stands. After his second-place ARCA finish at Talladega, Cleetus had been approved to race in the O'Reilly Series race at the same track that same weekend. The setup was the kind of narrative that writes itself, running double duty at Talladega, following up a podium in ARCA with a start in the next level of competition at the exact same venue. Then NASCAR pulled his approval. The sanctioning body determined he had not yet met the requirements to advance to that level of competition at that track at that point in time. NASCAR EVP and Chief Racing Development Officer John Probst addressed it on the official NASCAR podcast Hauler Talk. We're all huge Cleetus fans. We all watch his videos and are certainly very appreciative of everything he's done in our sport, and will continue to do in our sport. He is approved right now for O'Reilly Series short tracks, which means he's good for all of ARCA, all of truck, and then O'Reilly up through the short tracks. We'd like to see more out of Cleetus in the short tracks. So we're not saying no, but there is more that we would like to see out of Cleetus before we would approve him for Talladega. The decision split fans. Some argued NASCAR was protecting the field and making a responsible call based on his Rockingham debut. Others felt the sanctioning body ignored documented ARCA progress and killed the perfect moment. Cleetus addressed it directly in a video posted to his own platform. He was disappointed but completely measured. No public meltdown. No blame campaign. He said, "Ladies and gentlemen, I wanted you to hear it from me first that I have been denied by NASCAR to run Talladega in my O'Reilly car. A little bit of a kick in the nuts, but I just have to get out there in the other cars and do as much learning as possible, and then hopefully, I'll get to run Daytona and Talladega next year." Then he announced, Nashville would be next. Nashville Superspeedway is a 1-mile concrete oval. It does not carry the drafting complexity of a superspeedway or the plate racing chaos of Talladega. What it rewards is patience and discipline, 2 qualities that matter far more for a developing driver than raw speed. RCR identified Nashville as a safe bet for his second start specifically because of the slower corner speeds compared to the tracks he had been denied. This race is no longer just a second start on a schedule. This is chapter 2 of a story that NASCAR fans are actively watching. The questions going into Saturday night are real and specific. Can he show measurable improvement from Rockingham? Can he manage a race without the kind of incidents that defined his debut? Can he give NASCAR the evidence it has said it needs before opening up the larger tracks? The O'Reilly Series field at Nashville is packed with drivers who have been grinding for years to build careers in this sport. Cleetus will not receive favors on the track. And then there is the detail that almost nobody is talking about yet. Cleetus McFarland runs Crown Vic All-Star races around the country, events where fans race against him in beat-up street cars. Richard Childress, the 80-year-old founder of one of NASCAR's most legendary organizations, a man who has not raced competitively in 45 years, is suiting up and competing in one of those Crown Vic events at Stafford Speedway in Connecticut in 2026. The man who built the team that housed Dale Earnhardt, who watched 6 championships get won under his banner, who has spent half a century at the highest levels of professional motorsports, is going door-to-door with internet fans in a beat-up Crown Victoria because his new driver invited him. That alone tells you everything about the kind of energy Cleetus McFarland brings into every room he walks into. Cleetus has stated publicly that his long-term goal is the Daytona 500. Not this year. Not necessarily next year. But that is the stated target. With RCR locked in through 2027, with ARCA results that show a clear and documented arc of improvement, and with a fan base of over 8 million people ready to follow him to any track he competes at, the path to Daytona is not the fantasy it might have seemed 18 months ago. Plenty of drivers have taken longer and far less visible routes to reach Daytona International Speedway. None of them arrived with 8 million people already watching every start. None of them had a 2-year deal with a championship-caliber organization before their second O'Reilly Series start. And NASCAR has spent years trying to solve a specific and well-documented problem: how to make the sport feel relevant and accessible to younger audiences who did not grow up watching it on Sunday afternoons. Every marketing campaign and broadcast experiment has been chasing something that Cleetus McFarland already built organically: a genuine, passionate audience of people who love cars, love speed, and are now actively interested in following his progression through the sport. His ARCA numbers are not a fluke. Going from 41st at Daytona in 2025 to second place at Talladega in 2026 is the kind of development that even his harshest critics cannot dismiss when they are being honest about the data. Cleetus McFarland is not just a YouTuber playing race car driver anymore. He is putting in the work, taking the losses publicly, and earning his place on that grid lap by lap. Nashville is this Saturday, and every clean lap, every avoided incident, every position gained adds to a story that NASCAR is watching very carefully. If you want to see Cleetus make it all the way to the Daytona 500, smash that like button right now. Subscribe so you do not miss the Nashville breakdown video dropping right after the race. And drop your answer in the comments below. Do you think he belongs in NASCAR? Yes or no? Let's argue about it.